What's up, guys? Nick Palacios here. Today we're going over my full tactical game setup. Spoiler alert for those of you guys who aren't aware, I work for the company. I manage operations. I'm in my third season working for the company. So every now and again we get to go out and we get to compete and have fun ourselves. So luckily I get to compete this month in Reno, Nevada. We're going to be at the Nevada Firearms Academy. So really excited to get to compete there. Really main goal of this video is to kind of just help you guys out if you're newer to competing. That way you guys can kind of see what's required, what I recommend, and just kind of help you guys out and getting on your journey to competing in the sport. It's something that I've absolutely fell in love with since I first joined. I started up on the sponsorship side and ended up working into an operations position for the company back in 2023. So again, I just want to help you guys out and just go over gear, and hopefully this gets you guys on your path to getting out there and competing soon. So I'm going to go over the weapon systems first and then go over through the rest of the required gear. And then after I do that, I'll just go over a couple pieces of gear that I think are important to have, but again, not a must. But nonetheless, they're still very important as well too. So starting with the rifle, I've got a Sons of Liberty rifle here. I just built this last week, been very excited to get this. I was running a Sons of Liberty rifle previously. So what this is this, the lower here is a scalper, and then the upper is the L89 V2. It's got a 16-inch barrel, an A2 flash hider on there. That's something for those of you that are new to the sport that aren't aware. If you have a rifle currently that has a comp or a muzzle brake on it, we do not allow those. So you're gonna have to get some type of blast forward device on there, or switch to something like a bird cage, a 3-4 prong, an A2, something of that nature that just sends gas forward. So that's going to be one of the required pieces of gear that you have. Another required piece of gear is going to be your sling. The cool thing about this is it's got integrated M-lock. So you've got two connecting pieces here, and then I've also thrown one on forward of the handguard as well too, just because I personally like to have my sling there. Aside from that, I've got some mag pull hardware on here. I'm left-handed, so I've got this rifle set up for a lefty. I've got an ambidextrous Radian Raptor LT charging handle I just put on there. I've also got a bad lever from Magpul, and then I've got some other Magpul hardware. I've got the MOE SL stock, and then I've got the K2 Plus grip. Difference between the K2, the K2 Plus is the K2 Plus has a tacky finish on it, which I personally like. When your hands are sweaty, it's not really slick, so it gives you a better grip on your rifle. Aside from that, I also put in an AR Gold flat face trigger on there. The stock trigger that actually came with this newer model was great. It's a really good trigger, but I've been shooting the AR Gold for a while now and I really like it. Super crisp break on there, so I really enjoy that. The scope I have on here is a Night Force. It's a 1:8 24 millimeter. It's an LPVO. I see a lot of people, especially newer competitors, they'll put red dots on with magnifiers, which, you know, shooting out to the distances that we shoot will put you at a disadvantage. Can you get through a competitive weekend and still compete and do that? Yes, absolutely. But if you're going to be shooting out a distance, you will be at a disadvantage. So if it's within the budget and you can find one that works for you, I'd suggest getting an LPVO of some sort. I had a Vortex HD Razor before, which I also liked. That was a 1:10. This is a 1:8. I think with the glass clarity on here, I'm not missing anything by not having a 1:10 on here. The 1:8 will work perfect. We'll shoot out to about 600 yards at max, depending on the range and what we've got available to us. So something in the range of like a 1:6 to a 1:10 will get you through anything that you need to shoot in TAC games. So again, great optic, really crisp glass, and I've really been liking this setup. I set it up last week, took it out to Reveille Peak Ranch, got it zeroed, shot it out to 600, was hitting steals, so was super happy. So I'm really excited to get this out to competition next week once we get out to Reno. Aside from the rifle, what we've got next is the pistol. So I've got a Staccato P. This is pretty much right out of the box. Nothing really changed here aside from the Leupold Delta Point Pro that I put in. We do compete in a lot of gritty environments, so you've got, you know, between grass, dirt, gravel, sand, you name it. A lot of people like to run closed emitters. I personally don't. I've never had an issue with the Delta Point Pro. It's super crisp glass. The red dot on there is sharp. You know, again, no issues with that. Pistol runs awesome. So both these weapon systems are great. I've had zero failures with either of these. So again, both weapon systems have served me well. Again, you don't have to run these. Some of these pieces are a little bit more expensive. So again, whatever works for you in your budget and whatever just works for you in general. You know, get whatever you need to get. Don't let gear be the deciding factor of getting you into the sport. Just get a setup, whether you got to borrow it, get something budget, whatever it is. Just do it so that way you can get out and compete, because you'll figure out where your holes are in your game once you get out and compete. So aside from that, another required piece of gear is going to be your holster for your pistol. So you do have to have some type of active retention. I have a level 2 retention on my Safari Land. This is a 6300 series. I like this thing a lot. It's also super bulletproof, really thick plastic, and you always get a really good hold on your pistol with that. So I've got that. I've got my belt is from Lead Devil. They're a company based out of here in Texas. The guys there make phenomenal belts, super nice. They're rigid, but they're still pretty pliable, so they move well with you, and they're really well built. I've got an inner belt from them as well too. And then I usually run 3 pistol mags, 2 rifle mags. You will be required to have it. I'm not going to say required. A lot of times in programming, we will run stages where you'll need 5 mags for pistol, 5 mags for rifle. So however you want to set your belt up to work with that potential programming, kind of figure that out for yourself. Sometimes people throw them in their pockets if they need to have extra mags. A lot of the time we'll stage our mags on certain positions on the field. So, you know, it really depends. But I think 3 and 2 setup for pistol and rifle works well for most of all stages that we run. So that's how I like to have my belt set up. Aside from the belt, you've got your plate carrier. So plate carrier for men and women is going to be 15 pounds for men and 12 pounds for women. That's across all divisions, so that's not division specific. I run Jackrabbit plates in here. They are soft plates. I know some of you guys are going to fucking lose your minds because I'm using soft plates, but it's okay. This is a sport and this is for fun. So when it comes to that, you got to think about it as a game and as a sport. So having a soft plate just makes more sense personally in my book. If you want to run hard plates, by all means run your hard plates. I have no problem with that as long as they weigh what they're supposed to weigh. Jackrabbit makes really good, high quality, durable plates. They're made right here in the States, which I absolutely love as well too. So whatever you got to wear, as long as it weighs that's all that matters. Personally, the reason why I like to wear soft plates is because you're always going to be in some type of compromised position. Whether you're holding a heavy sandbag over your chest for holds or carries or up and over bars, you're jumping, you're shooting crouched, you're shooting in awkward positions. So having a soft plate just molds to your body better. So that's why I like to run those. The plate carrier is from GoRuck. This is a prototype that they made for me a while back, and it's worked great. It's a good plate carrier. I have no problems with it. I like to run them slick. Again, you're going to be cleaning stuff, carrying stuff, all that. So having anything on the cummerbund is just, it's kind of awkward to have there. I've seen guys with cummerbunds and rifle mags in front. They go to clean a bar and they pop themselves in the chin with their rifle mags. So I would suggest running a slick plate carrier, but again, all on you, whatever you prefer to do for your setup. So that's how I like to run my plates, and it always serves me well. You know, again, as you're competing, you're going to be getting put in weird situations and positions. So the less cumbersome you can be with your gear, the better. You know, you always want to try to run it as slick as possible while wearing all the required gear. So again, you need to have your sling, no comp or muzzle brake on the rifle. I like to run a red dot on my pistol. It is not required. LPVO for the rifle as well too, so you can shoot out at distance, and also you can shoot close targets with that. So that covers the range of everything that you'll see for when you're competing in a weekend. Aside from that, last couple pieces of required gear. iPro, these are Magpul Defiance. They make them in a couple different colors, shade colors and all that stuff. These always work great for me. I'm a really big fan of those particular lenses and frames. And then Ear Pro. I would recommend wearing in-ears. So if you're picking something overhead, I don't know why, but I know why. Over-ear headphones are always going to be in the way. Personally, for me, they always end up getting knocked, moved, and you got to adjust them. So something in-ear that's very low profile, super minimalistic is going to work out best for you. Decibels is awesome. They make custom ear molds. So they come in a standard mold. You put them in hot water and give them a couple minutes, pull them out, and then you mold them to your ear. Let them dry, pop the buds on them, and then they're good to go. These are the percussive Ear Pro that they have. They come with a lanyard, super nice and convenient. So when you're not using them, you can just wrap them around your neck, stay right there, pop them off when you're ready to use them. So throw them back in their carrying case, and then they're good to go. Aside from that, as far as footwear goes, I usually bring 3 different types of footwear. The reason why I do that is because of the different types of stages that you run through in a weekend. So we do 8 stages in a weekend. We'll always have 4 tag game style stages. You'll have a fitness only stage, a shooting only stage, some type of action stage thrown in there, whether it's 2-gun, USPSA style stage, long range rifle stage, and then we do a run as well too. So during the runs, Obviously have a good running shoe, something that's light, it's going to be comfortable for you at distance. You can run up to 5 miles, whether it's under load with a ruck, just your plate carrier. Sometimes we'll run in full kit. It just kind of depends on what we've got available to us at the range and what the programming looks like for the weekend. So this is GoRuck's Rough Runner shoes. They're super comfortable. I like to use these a lot. These are kind of like my do-it-all shoe as far as like everyday use. They're really comfortable, and they just kind of get the job done for anything of that nature. For most of my tack game stages for the weekend, I'll run the GoRuck McCalls. They have a really aggressive tread. They're light. They've got a wide toe box, so they're comfortable to wear all day. And the sole is nice and hard. So the reason I like to have a hard-soled shoe is because of rope climbs and just like weird terrain that we'll be on all day. So rope climbs tend to eat up soft-soled shoes. So if you've got something that's got a thicker sole or a harder sole, they'll hold up better for you. And I think that these shoes just work great for me during competition. I will throw a boot in there every now and again, whether it's the GoRuck Mac V2s or something like this Under Armour boot here. I like to have something like a waterproof boot just in case it does rain. Last thing I want to have is just soaking wet socks throughout the weekend. You're going to be miserable enough competing. So comfort is always big. So this wide toe box boot, it's waterproof. It's got a really high neck on there as well too. So even if you're doing something like rope climbs, these are a good option, especially if you're wearing shorts or anything like that. Having a taller neck on your boot will just protect your shins from rope burns and all that. So these boots are a really good option, and I've really been enjoying these. Aside from that, a couple pieces of gear that aren't required, but I think it's a good idea to have is some type of toolkit. This is from Fix It Sticks. This has a couple different pieces in here. It's got a ton of different driver bits and heads and screwdrivers and all that. It's got a torque wrench on there, which shows you the specific poundage that you're torquing anything at. So something for optics, if they get loose and you know what that torque spec is, you can torque it exactly to spec, and then you're back in the race. I've seen a ton of people that don't check that before they get out onto the field. I've seen people shooting their pistol, their red dot flies off, optics get loose, throws your zero off, and honestly, like, that's just going to piss you off for the weekend, and it's going to potentially throw a stage out for you. You're spending countless hours training, time away from family, money, travel, all that stuff. So this is something that is in your control. So making sure that your gear is dialed in and ready to go before you get on site and while you're on site is super important. So I would always recommend getting something like that to have on site just in case you need to fix something. Aside from that, is going to be a set of binos and then a rangefinder. So as you're going out and you're getting ready for the weekend, if you're looking at something like a long range stage where we're shooting out to distance, I would always recommend having at least a rangefinder. That way you can go ahead, you can go out, range your targets that you're going to be shooting, take your notes, so that way when you're going onto a stage, you're prepared. See a lot of people that don't do that. They go into the stage not knowing what the distances are, what the distance is on their targets, and then they're kind of just whiffing shots and wasting a lot of time. So again, something that's in your control that you can manage is going onto a stage beforehand, checking out the targets and seeing what you're going to be shooting. I've got the Vortex Razor HD, super good rangefinder. This thing works very, very well. So you can get, again, any different brand will work. As long as it's got batteries in it, check your batteries. And then I've got a set of binos as well too. So binos, again, always good to have. Once you range your targets, get an idea of how big they are. Can't go down there and measure them yourself, but at least you can go get a look and see what kind of targets you're shooting, whether they're circles, squares, BC targets, large, small silhouettes, things like that. So all things that you can control. Again, you're going to be spending a lot of time getting yourself just to check in. So if you can ensure that your gear is dialed in and you've got the things that are going to help you succeed and compete to the best of your ability, you should do it. So that's my gear, guys. I hope this was helpful for you. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody out in Reno and all throughout the rest of the season. So take care.